Welcome back to our class. Don't forget to subscribe if it is your first time to visit our channel.
We have three types of dominancy: complete dominancy, codominancy, and incomplete dominancy. So let's look at them in detail. When we talk about complete dominancy, when you are dominant, it means that you have powers over another individual. So it's a genetic cross where dominant allele masks, blocks the expression of the recessive allele in a heterozygous condition. So in complete dominancy, you have heterozygous condition. So you have what you call the incomplete. When we talk about incomplete, it means that yes, the dominancy is there, but it is incomplete. So it means that one brings 50 and then another one brings also 50. So you're saying that it's a genetic cross where none of the allele is dominant over the other. Neither of the allele is dominant over the other. It means that they have equal powers. The president of South Africa and the president of America, both of them, they have the same powers in their countries. So it means that neither of the president is dominant over the other. When it is the meeting, the president of South Africa will have the same contribution like the president of America. That's the meaning. Not that, no, because America is a superpower, now South Africa, no. Both of them, they are presidents. Neither of the two is, they are dominant, yes, they are dominant, but neither of them is completely dominant over the other, over each other. Although your country is big or small, still you have the same power as presidents. For example, you have white and red. When you cross them, they form what called the intermediate. Intermediate means that neither of the two is dominant over the other. When you cross them, they produce the intermediate. It's not white, it's not red, but it is in between there. It produces a new character. So the character which is being produced is new. That's the meaning. Yes. But here you have the one character from the parent. Black and white, you either produce white or you produce black. Here when you cross, you don't produce white, you don't produce black, but you can produce gray, which is in between the two. It's not white, it's not black, but is in between. That's the meaning, intermediate. And then you have the co-dominant. Co means together. Co means together, means two things are existing at the same time. They have the same power, they have expressed themselves at the same rate. For example, you have white and black. When you cross them, you produce a mixture of white and black. They are co, they are together, they are expressed outside or in the phenotype together. You have the white and the black, they are living together. That's the meaning of co-dominance. It means that both of them are dominant, and their dominance is being expressed in the phenotype at the same time. So here you're saying that a genetic cross in which both alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype. Let's look at these examples. You have complete dominancy. Dominance allele completely masks the recessive one. It means that you have here, you have the red and the pink, and then you produce red. It means that you have one character being produced in the offspring, either red or pink. One must be produced. Then in incomplete, you have red and white. You don't produce red, you don't produce white. You produce a new character, which is pink. So neither of these is completely dominant over the other. So they produce an intermediate between red and, it means that this one has brought 50 and this one has brought 50, and then I form an intermediate color. Then if you look at the codominance, it means that the two must be there. If you look at this color and look at this color, the red and blue, when you cross them, you produce a mixture of red and blue. Here you produce a mixture. It means that red is completely dominant and blue is also completely dominant, and they express themselves in the phenotype of the offspring. While in incomplete, this is an intermediate, because this one has brought me 50 and also this one has brought me 50. This one, you don't produce neither of the color from the parent. You produce an intermediate. You produce a new color. And then this one, codominance, together, it means that both of the parents' color is being expressed in the phenotype. I think that's how you can differentiate among the three. Then let's look at one of the questions involving the dominance. So they are saying that an allele for tallness is dominant over allele for shortness. A man who is homozygous. So I know that homozygous, tall, marries, and then they said here tallness is dominant over shortness. So it means that this guy is homozygous dominant. So marries a lady who is homozygous short. And then short, they say that is what is recessive, or it is recessive. And then using a genetic cross to determine the possible genotypes and phenotypes of the children. So what am I going to do? P1, parent 1, phenotype. Tall guy marries a short lady. You get it from the question, as I told you. From the question, a man who is homozygous, tall. This word homozygous will help us in the genotype, to identify the genotype. The word homozygous, heterozygous, only is important in showing which kind of genotype are you having. You don't put it in the phenotype because you can't see that this person is heterozygous or is homozygous using the phenotype. You can't do that. You only know that this person is tall, this person is short. But if you go into genetic composition, you will know that, oh, you are homozygous tall or you are homozygous short. That's why we don't add the word homozygous or heterozygous here. So we are saying that a man who is homozygous, we have seen tall, yes, marries a lady who is homozygous short. So we go to genotype. Genotype. They say the homozygous tall. Letters are supposed to be the same. And then you have homozygous short. Letters are supposed to be the same. Why they said it here? Homozygous short. Then you go to meiosis must take place. When meiosis takes place, it divides into two. Even here, it divides into two. What do you form here? You form what called a gametes. So it means that this T is going to come here, this T is going to come here, this T is going to come here, this T is going to come here. And then fertilization must take place. It means that they must cross. You can use a cross or you can use a Punnett square. Either of the two is correct. And then they cross that, crosses this, and then that crosses that. So this one crosses with these two. That one is done. Then I go to this. This crosses with that, and then this crosses with that. And then I get the results, which you call the F1, the first period generation. So when I cross, I get this. So it shows that all of them were tall. But which kind of tallness? The tallness, if you are describing in terms of genes, it is heterozygous tall. So, or you can use this kind of option. Don't use two because we want one. So then the genotype, it means that all of them are capital T, small t. Which kind of phenotype is this? Because I have the capital letter T, then it means that this individual is going to be tall. So which kind of phenotype? All of them are tall. I don't say heterozygous tall. I don't see the heterozygosity in the phenotype. I don't see that. So I just have to say they are tall. And then the individual of F1 all displays the dominant characteristic. It means that all of them are what? Are tall. In incomplete, you saw that in incomplete, you have the capital letter and the small letter. You see? You have capital letter and small letter. But in incomplete, neither of the allele is completely dominant over the other. Then it means that we don't have a small letter there. So an allele for red and allele for white is also dominant. When the homozygous red crosses with the homozygous white, it means that both of them dominant. Using a genetic cross, determine the possible genotype and the phenotype of the flowers produced. I have P1 phenotype red. I get it from the question. Red crosses with the white. They're saying it. Red, white crosses with the red from the question. So I always get that mark from there. You have 3 marks free without even thinking. Then genotype. Now I have to come here and then look for these words. They're saying when a homozygous red, you see, homozygous red, same letters, homozygous white, same letters. Then meiosis takes place. When meiosis takes place, it also splits into gametes. So gametes, when they are formed, fertilization must take place. So you can use that method, or you can cross either of the two. So you bring these ones, you put them there. You bring these ones, you put them there. Then you cross them. You cross them. Or you can bring these ones here and then bring these W's on top. Either way, it's correct. And then F1 generation, if you look at them, all of them, they are capital R, small w. Capital R, small w. So the genotype, all of them is capital R, small w. And then the phenotype, which kind of phenotype is this? Capital R, small w. If you go back here, capital R and small w, it's not red, it's not white. So it shows that it is an intermediate of the what? Of the two. So it gives me pink. So if it gives me pink, it shows that this is incomplete dominance, whereby I produce a different color. And then offsprings have an intermediate form of trait of the parent. So that's how I can describe them. So note that in complete dominancy, you don't have small letters. Then codominance is the same as in complete dominance, but the only change which is there is because you produce a mixture of the two colors. So they're saying the cow with white fur, capital W, were crossed with a bull with red fur, capital R, as shown in the diagram. Use a genetic cross to show how the roan was got. So how did we get this? So phenotype, P1 phenotype, I have to look for it. Okay, well, white fur. So I say it's white fur crossed with red fur. So it means that red is crossing with white. Red is crossing the white. Here they didn't talk about homozygous, heterozygous. But the statement, the word roan, shows that it's a mixture. Roan means a mixture of two colors. So it shows that these two were homozygous, so that they gave rise to this roan. So now I have to know that capital R and the capital R, small w, sorry, capital W and capital W. Then when meiosis takes place, I produce gametes, which gametes they undergo fertilization. I give you a tick and this and this. So it means that you have scored a tick there. And then I cross them. You can use the cross or you can use this method. Either way is correct. And then I get the F1. So P1 F1, I give you also a tick. So please don't forget those. Don't forget this. Don't forget this. Don't forget this. 3 marks are there for mahal, for free. So we are saying that the genotype is this. Why? All of them are like this. Capital R, small, capital R, capital W, capital R, capital W, all of them. So it means that this is not red, it's not white. What is it? It's a mixture of red and white, which we call roan. That's the meaning. And this is how they wanted you to do that question. It's not difficult if you look at it. In codominancy, you produce a mixture of the two colors. While in incomplete dominance, yes, you produce an intermediate color. But the crossing is exactly the same. So we are saying that both alleles are equally dominant and are expressed in the phenotype. Okay, this is just trying to do a summary. Proportion and the ratio of the genotypes and the phenotypes. Sometimes they ask you to do the ratio, sometimes they ask you to do, yes, the ratio. So when you talk about the ratio, it describes the number of times a genotype would appear or the number of times the phenotype would appear. So for example, if you look at this is capital R, capital R, capital R, capital R, capital R, small r, capital R, small r, and then small r, small r. So I just have to say this is 1, and then this is 2, and then this is 1. So I'm going to say 1 to 2 to 1. 1 is for this, and then for 2 for this, and then to 1. That's basically what they want in the ratio. And then if phenotypic ratio, you see how many, if this is, let me see, they didn't give you the color. For example, if this is red and then small r is white, then it means that this one's gonna be red. This one's gonna also be red. Why? Because it is having a dominant allele, which is masking this. So it's gonna be red 1, red 2, red 3, and only 1 white. So I'm gonna have 3, 2, 1. That's the meaning here. Actually, it's the same thing I've given you. Red is 3 red and 1 white. So the ratio is going to be 3 to 1. Note, let students practice different examples with the crosses. So it means that when I finish here, I'm going to send you some questions for you to practice. So basically, that's it. And then if you look at sex determination, they're saying that